go ahead and have a recording for this for you to then listen to. And I will have all of the slides on my website, which is themodernDayAgent.com/Aaron Stelle. All right, so let's dive in here. And so as we move forward, you know, the questions that we got and the things that were really coming out of this were, all right, what are the types of things that we can do and the ways that we can operate inside of, let me see here, sounds like my audio's cutting out a little bit. I'll try to readjust my speaker here. So, you know, in regards to, you know, the types of things that we've seen be effective, we've really had 3 different types of ways that we've been able to conduct real estate in the virtual world. So we've had the individual walkthroughs where we are having one-on-one conversations with our clients. It's really just between, you know, the parties that are interested in the property and then you, the agent. We've had the 24/7 digital walkthroughs, which really allow people to tour a house at any time at their convenience, and then the live events. And so we're going to walk through best practices with all 3 of these in the hopes that you can figure out, all right, what's going to work for you and your clients, and also the way that it's going to be most effective for your business. So to start out, you know, the individual walkthrough is the one that we've seen really almost immediately take off. And what we're seeing with this and the conversations that we've had with our clients is, you know, there's a couple of reasons to do this. Number one, by having, you know, fewer people going through the properties, it will reduce the exposure for both you, the clients, and the homeowners, because there are going to be fewer people that are going to be actually inside of that house or inside of that property. The other thing that it does is what we've seen, or what our clients have been talking about, is it's simplified the process. And what I mean by that is it allows you as the agent to go walk through the property, give them the tour, but not have to have multiple times in and out, not having to necessarily go through. And what we've really seen is having the exposure of getting like multiple parties in there at the same time. So it just allows for, like, if you're trying to coordinate schedules, to be a very simple and a much easier way to make this work. And what we've seen is, unlike some of the other tours that we're going to be talking about, this is where we want to really use the tools that your clients already have. And ideally, it's something that they're very comfortable with. And so this is really where FaceTime, Instagram video chat, Facebook Messenger, we have even seen things like WeChat or AnyChat, things like that. But the point is, instead of trying to get your client to adapt to new technology or to download something that they're unfamiliar with, just have the conversation at the very beginning of your buyer consultation and just say, okay, you know, what is the platform, if we're trying to video chat back and forth, that you are most comfortable with? And what this does is, number one, it'll keep it to where it's a 2-party conversation or maybe a 3-party conversation. There are fewer issues that we've seen in regards to security. And so by using like a FaceTime or an Instagram video chat or a Facebook Messenger, it's something that is very easily adapted. You can walk through the house, give them the tour that they're looking for, stop, go back and forth between rooms, show finishes, and really just give them a very good, clear picture of what that house is like. And the other part of it that's nice is, like we were mentioning earlier, now you're going to have fewer parties inside of that house, so reduce risk for exposure. Now, excuse me. Now, the nice part about that is you're there live, you can walk back and forth. It can be something where they can ask questions. However, the other side that we see is, if you are trying to coordinate multiple people's schedules, so the homeowner, both the buyers, and yourself to all be in there at the same time doing some sort of a live chat, it can be difficult at times. So the other thing that we've been seeing our agents use is a tool like BombBomb. And what BombBomb will allow you to do is have that same walkthrough where you're walking room by room, you're going in and out, you're showing features, you're talking about all of the highlights of that home that you think, you know, make it unique or special or meet the needs of your clients. But instead of having to get everybody coordinated to where you're all there at the same time, with BombBomb, you can record that video, then send it out to your clients, and then they can watch it at their leisure. Now, the bonus to this is they can watch that video several times. They can rewind and go see something again if they would like to do that. Now, the drawback is if there's something that they see that they want further clarification on, you as the agent would no longer be in the house, which would make it to where you'd have to then either go inside again to find that information out, or hopefully it was something that you noticed while you're walking through. But the benefit to BombBomb is, once again, it's a video email. And if you do have a large file, so say, for example, you toured the property for 20 minutes or something along those lines, then with BombBomb, you can now send that over to them in a format where they can watch it online, and it's not going to take up a bunch of space on your phone. It's not going to take a bunch of space on your computer, and it'll make it much easier for them to watch and for you to then distribute out. The other nice thing is if you do want to reference back to it at a later date, with a tool like BombBomb, it will be in the cloud, and then you can go back and use that for other purposes as well, if it's something that you want to do. So those are really the tools that we've been seeing from an individual walkthrough standpoint that have allowed people to continue to do their job and allow you as agents to continue to do your job. Once again, this is not super high tech, and we've actually intentionally kept these tools sort of simple because what we're really trying to do is make it to where you can be the most effective, not in a situation where your clients are going to struggle to either use the technology or to adopt it. Now, when we get to the 24/7 virtual walkthrough, this is where we start to step up a little bit in regards to the technologies that we're using in order to make it happen. And the reason that we want to use a tool like this is, number one, it allows more potential buyers to then see the property, and they can do it whenever they'd like. So this can be, 2 in the afternoon, 8 in the morning. It can be 2 in the middle of the night. And so it really just allows them to do it whenever it's on their schedule. The other thing that this does is it allows a more thorough tour. So they can walk back and forth between rooms. They can scan up and down and side to side. And the whole point of it is, we want them to get a complete feel for the house before they ever step foot inside. And what we're seeing right now is that there are clients out there that are legitimately writing up offers without ever stepping foot physically inside the house. And the other thing about this is, where, traditionally marketing was, okay, we want to give them a teaser so that way they want to go inside the house. Now we're seeing this shift, at least in the current environment, to no, let's give them everything they need to know, all the information, the full movie, in this example, to where they don't need to go in that house. They'll go in there for the inspection to make sure that, everything's working and it does, kind of meet their needs that way. But once again, from a reduction in exposure standpoint, this allows them to feel very comfortable writing an offer without even stepping foot in the house. So the tools that we're going to look at with this, and the standard for years and years has been, not years and years, but the last 4 to 5 years has been Matterport. And the benefit of Matterport is it really does give you a true indication of what that house is like. So you can have the dollhouse view, which is what you're seeing in the top left corner. And, with the dollhouse view, you can really see how rooms connect, how the house flows. You can actually spin it around and kind of like flip it on its axis to where you can really get a true indication of what that house is like. In addition, you can actually flatten it down to where you basically get a floor plan out of it as well. Now, the tough part about Matterport is, number one, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do yourself. And number two, it's fairly expensive. The camera that you're seeing there in the bottom right is going to cost you about $3,500, plus you're going to have a subscription fee. So unless you're doing a ton of listings, you're most likely going to have to hire a company that will come out and do these Matterport tours. And from a standpoint of costing, we've seen everything from, $250-ish for one of these to be done, all the way up into the $500 range, depending on both the company and the size of the house. But, if you do this, it really is like as they place the camera all throughout the house, you can walk in using your phone, your tablet, your computer. You can look up, you can look down, you can look right, left, you can go between rooms. It does a fantastic job of really making you feel like you're inside of that property. Then, so the next one that we're looking at, and this is a new technology that we just learned about that we're really excited about. And what it is it's a product called Astroom. And how it works is you get this little tool that you see on the right. So it's a little thing that actually spins your camera, and this will work with all sorts of different phones. You put a little fisheye lens on there, and then you set the base on a tripod. And what they say, and they do say that you can do a full 3D tour in 10 minutes. From our experience, it's going to take you more like 20. But this is a do-it-yourself product where basically, as long as you have line of sight, so you would do it inside of the room, then in the hallway, then into the next room. And so it's pretty easy as far as placement goes. You can create a very similar experience to Matterport. However, you're now doing it yourself. And we do have a partner card or a partnership with them right now, where if you go to this link on the screen, the askroom.com/events/west, and this will be in the follow-up email I send you guys as well. You get $10 off the device. So instead of, it's going to be around $60. And then you get some extra time in regards to subscription. It's about $14 a month is what the subscription cost is. But instead of paying, $250 to $500, you can use your phone, which you already have, this little tool that you would purchase, and you can basically do your own 3D walkthroughs. And it really does do a pretty good job of being comparable to Matterport. It's not quite there. It doesn't have all the features, but it's pretty close for a pretty cheap price and a pretty short learning curve as far as the do-it-yourselfer. And the next one that we've seen, and so I wanted to put a couple of tools out there, is eye staging. And we've had clients that have gone out and bought 3D cameras, or they bought tools like, say, a GoPro or a Ryko Theta or some of these things. Well, with eye staging, you can actually use those tools you already have, so those cameras, and they'll stitch it all together and create a 3D tour or a 3D walkthrough for you. And so, depending on kind of what you want to do you want to just hire it out? Do you want to buy some equipment and then learn how to do it yourself? Or do you already have the equipment and you just need somebody to splice it all together? These three tools will make that happen. And what you're going to do with this then, if we're trying to figure out, okay, how do we make this work, or how do we leverage this, is, we want to go through and make sure that there's a very easy way for the people to see it out there. And so what we would suggest is, number one, if you have a good website, I would just create a page on your website for each of your listings that has this 3D walkthrough. If you don't, a very easy way to do it is either to use a single property website, or we really like Lead Pages. And what Lead Pages is it's a product that allows you to create a whole bunch of individual landing pages or websites, where you could have basically a single property website for every listing that you have. And by creating this, it's meant for lead capture. You'll get all sorts of analytics in regards to number of people going there. But this also allows you to then push it out using either email or social media channels. So Facebook, Instagram, you'll have these virtual walkthroughs where people can then land on it and see it. And next, what we would like you to do, or what we've seen work very effectively, is you have the 3D tour on your page or on your website, and then you use a tool like Calendly. And what Calendly does, it allows them to schedule a time to physically walk through the house. And so if you're running advertisements and you're trying to get people to engage with you to then go see the property where you could potentially get buyers, you have them walk through virtually first, and then you give them options for times that then they could go see it in person. And so having something like Calendly is a great way to do that. And I do know with RMLS, you can even use showing time as a way for agents to get in there as well. And that's what you're seeing there down at the bottom. But the whole goal with the 24/7 virtual tour is allow them to virtually walk through the property. And then if they're ready, to go to that next level where they're going to be writing an offer on the property, or if they're going to be going to the point where they're like, okay, yep, I want to walk through and make sure that this does actually meet all of my needs. Now you have a simple scheduler that allows you to capture their information. So that's really the pro tip we've seen in regards to how to leverage the 3D 24/7 walkthrough. All right, and now we'll get to the the bigger, more complicated event. And so the live event is the one where I think we've had the most questions. And what this is what we're trying to do is we want to, much like you would with an actual physical open house, we want to allow people to come in, ask questions. You could potentially have one-on-one communication with people, so you could have little conversations. And then the other part of it is we do want to lead capture. And we know that, there are a lot of agents that we work with where a good source of their leads and business just comes from meeting people at open houses. And so what we want to do with these virtual live events is we want to basically recreate that process and your ability to meet people all while doing it virtually. And so the way that this works is we've seen the best practice to be you start by creating a Facebook event. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go to your Facebook page. And if you notice here, if I click on more, and some people have not had the, this is the new look for Facebook. And I know everyone doesn't quite have this yet, but this is what's coming. But you click on the little more drop down. And if you notice, that fourth one up is event. So we're going to go ahead and click on event, and we're going to create an event. And this is going to be done just like if you were to, you were to put out a birthday party, or it's some kind of a client appreciation party or something like that. It's the same sort of event. And what we're going to do is you're going to put in, the date, the time that you're going to be there. You're also going to put in, obviously the address of the house, photos, things along those lines. And what it's going to do is it's going to come out looking something like this. So it's going to be your Facebook Live event, your open house. Usually what we're seeing is these run for about 30 to 40 minutes is about the time frame. Another thing to note is we've actually seen a lot of our clients had more success doing these midday, midweek. So if you think about normal consumer behavior or normal behavior in general, normally if you're doing a live event where you're actually going to have people that are coming in and out of the house, so an in-person open house, you're trying to hit people up when they are out and about. So that's why weekends in the middle of the day. So Saturday, Sunday, 11 to 1, 11 to 3, 1 to 3, whatever those times are, because people are out and about. Well, what we want is we want people that are actually in their house or on their computer to join our live event. So having it on a Tuesday or a Thursday, it's say like noon. They're home, they're working, they're on their computer, but they need a break. And so we've seen our agents actually have a lot of success, once again, doing midweek, midday live open houses, because that's when people are home and able to jump on this streaming service. So this is what your event will look like. You're given the date, the time, and it's going to be a Facebook Live event. So the next step, once you've got this event created, is you want to invite people to this event. And so there's a couple of reasons that you want to invite people to it. Number one, you do want to make potential buyers, other agents who may have buyers, excuse me, you want them to be able to see it and to see that you are doing it. The other thing that you want to do is just like a real party where you're having someone say, come over to your house. Nobody ever wants to be that first person to jump or the only person there. So this, by you inviting people, and it can literally be friends, family, coworkers, your buyers, it can be all the people that you know already. By having them say they're either interested or going, even if they don't end up jumping on the call, it will give this social proof. So when we are advertising the event out, it does look like there's a buzz around it and that there are going to be other people attending. So it can help you from a cold lead standpoint. When other people you don't know see this, they're going to look at it and say like, oh, this is something that has a buzz and there are other people going, maybe I will do this as well. So it's really creating this social proof. Now, once you have this event built out, you've got your date, you've got your time, and you're now ready to advertise. You're like, okay, I need to get some random people to this, not somebody I already know. So you're going to boost out this event. And when you create the event, it'll actually traditionally pop up a window that will say, would you like to boost this? And one thing that's really important, and this is a newer setting, basically since about February or March, well, some of it even started in January, is you do have to make sure that when you click boost post, that you toggle the little switch that says special ad category and use the selection for housing. And the reason that this is important, if you don't do this, then the ad will get rejected and you won't be able to get it in front of additional people. So I just want to make sure that we're giving you some important tips in regards to how to make this work. So number one, click the special ad category, select housing, and then we can get into our audience. Now, one thing to note is we used to be able to really hone circles in. So we would go through, and when we were creating an open house ad or a just listed ad or a just sold, we would go within like a mile of the specific property. Well, one of the things that they've done, and one of the restrictions we now have, is that you can't go smaller than a 15-mile radius. And so basically, if you do 15 miles around Lake Oswego, as you can see here in the picture, that is most of the Portland metro area. If you're going to be working more on the west side, you may want to move that out to Beaverton and do 15 miles. If you're going to be more on the east side, you may go over to like a Happy Valley and do 15 miles. But really, because of the way that they're restricting our advertising for housing, for equal housing opportunity reasons, you're pretty much having to then go in and select the entire Portland metro area. So that's just one thing to note. But based on what your verbiage is for the event, you can get people in certain areas. So let's say you talk about the neighborhood or the city or something along those lines. The verbiage can be the way that you can start identifying people that would be interested in your house. Now, once we've done that, we do want to try to find indicators of people that would be looking to purchase a house. And so usually what we're using is things like Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. Depending on the price point of the house, it could be first-time home buyers, or the other one we've been using lately is mortgage calculators. So if people are searching for a mortgage calculator, that's an indication that they could be either potentially looking to refinance or do something, or obviously see if they can buy a house. So those are the, you can go into others. HGTV is one that we've used in the past. If you're looking for homeowners, one of the great criteria is using something like Home Depot or Lowe's or Ace Hardware, because homeowners traditionally will go and fix their houses. Renters traditionally just call the landlord and don't. So it's a way to really kind of differentiate there. But those are the detailed targeting interests that we use to try to sniff out people that are interested in potentially buying a home. So now we've created our event. We have gone through and advertised it. We've invited people to be there. So we're creating a buzz. Now we need to decide, okay, how do we want to actually put this out there? And the two different ways we've seen it work are, one, just using Facebook Live inside of the event, or two, using Zoom. And there are really two distinct reasons why you would do each. And the reason you would use Facebook Live and just use it to where you're talking is the way that I can describe this is, because it's not a true conversation, there are going to be comments and you can monitor that. Think of it as if you walk into a conference room and it's just going to be you talking, right? So everybody else is going to be listening and it's going to be you talking to be able to push out the message you want. With Zoom, it's like walking into a conference room and everybody's going to be around the table and chit-chatting back and forth. And so it allows more communication between all the parties involved, but you're not going to have quite as much control over what's being said. So with Facebook Live, it's you pushing your message. With Zoom, it is more of a conversation. So if you decide that you want to just go live in the event, all you will do is you go into that event and it's going to say you're going to create a post. And when you click on that, you notice on the bottom right here that it's basically the right-hand column, third one down, is live video. So you're just going to fire up a live video and you can then start doing your walkthrough where you give a tour. You're going to be able to highlight the things that you think are most important about that house. Obviously, you can show finishes, you can show hardware, you can show the flow of the property. And if you monitor comments, you can answer questions to an extent, but you're not going to have other people that are actually having conversation back and forth with you. So that's the part of live. Now, the nice thing about that is you're not having to connect Zoom with Facebook. You're not having to really, if there are people that jump on there, potentially Zoom bombing or asking questions that you don't really find appropriate, this allows you to kind of lock that down and keep the message to what you want to be pushed out. Now, if you want to use Zoom, so you want this to be more like people walking into the living room, asking questions and things along those lines, number one, you are going to have to upgrade your Zoom account. So you're going to have to go away from the basic account. And then inside of the settings, so you have to go to zoom.us. So go to the actual website. then you will scroll down inside of your account settings and you will see a little switch like this where you toggle it over and you have to allow live streaming inside of Facebook, or if you want to do YouTube, you can do YouTube as well. If anybody's been on the OAR webinars lately where they've been talking, where it's Drew Coleman and Jenny Pakula doing different interviews and things, but then you can just jump on the link to YouTube. This is how they're doing that. But you can do the same thing with your live event. So what you do is you open up Zoom, and if you notice there on the bottom right, there are 3 little dots that once you start the meeting, you click more and you say live on Facebook. And when you do that, you're going to get a little window that pops up that looks like this. And it says, where do you want this video to live? Basically, where do you want to post this video? And if you were to do it just on your timeline, that's going to go out to all of your friends. You can obviously put it inside of or on your page as well. But with this situation, we want to share this in the event. So you will select your event and you're going to go live with this Zoom meeting inside of that event that you created. And so now the nice thing is, if people jump on this webinar or this meeting that you're having with Zoom, at that point in time, they can ask you questions. You can have a conversation with them. If you have multiple people jumping on once, you can have one person ask and then you can answer that for all to hear. You as the host, you can do things like mute the participants, or if you want to, say set up a waiting room so that way everybody can't jump on, you have to allow them in one by one. Or if somebody's coming in to be disruptive, you can kick them out. So there are a lot of settings inside of Zoom that you can use in order to kind of secure this a little bit. But using this live video inside of the Zoom page does allow for conversation, which is really nice. So, with that, there are a few ways that you can make this more effective. And I know I was talking to Kyle about communication and things like that, and I really wanted to give you some tips from what we've seen as far as effectiveness. Number one is, if you have this event and you've invited people and you've invited both clients, potential realtors, and everything else, if you go in and add a post, so notice at the bottom where it says add a post, if you add a photo each day, or you do a quick little recording just reminding people that the event's going to be happening, whatever, tomorrow or the next day, and you continuously add content inside of that event, it will notify all of the people that are, going or saying maybe, and it will make sure that it will continue to pop up in their feed. So you'll get a higher attendance rate. The other thing that can potentially happen is you'll have people that are maybe not going to be able to be on the live event that will start asking questions and creating conversations inside of this event. So it does allow you to start the communication flow in the communication process. And what I would suggest is anybody that goes in there that either likes the post or they comment in there, make sure, number one, you're monitoring it and replying back. But number two, you can start sending them private messages. So send them a Facebook message, basically just saying like, hey, I noticed that you had interest in the property at 123 Main Street and the virtual live event. Are there any other questions that I can answer for you right now? Or is there anything you're specifically looking for? So by creating all of these conversations and by posting content inside of the event, you can really get more interaction and hopefully start to find out more about what they're looking for. So they either want this property, or if they're not looking this, you can generate that relationship to take them as a buyer and then go somewhere else. The next thing that's important, and I'm sure you guys have all seen some of these videos, but we see a lot of walkthroughs where the sound seems either distant or it echoes a little bit, or it just makes it kind of hard to hear. So we always recommend using some sort of a microphone or earbuds. Both Samsung and Apple have great earbuds. If you're using those and walking around, it's clear. It's just like you're talking on the phone. I did go through and purchase this microphone that you see on the right, the Shure microphone. They're not cheap. They're about $150. But the nice thing about it is you can actually change the range as far as like what it is picking up. So let's say you wanted to go outside and show the backyard or an outdoor living area, and maybe there's a busy street behind, or there's just road noise in general. You can bring the range of field for that sound way in to where you're not going to hear the road behind, but they can still hear you talking and walking people through what's going on with that property. And then the last one that you can get fairly inexpensively on Amazon is just a lapel mic that just plugs into your phone, and that works. They have those for iPhones, they have those for Androids. So having some sort of a microphone makes a world of difference for the sound clarity, which makes a lot higher quality. Let's see here. I had a question come in. Mr. Count to have changed someone online. You don't have to have a messenger, so Messenger's tied to your Facebook account, so you'll have to do that. Sorry, the question came in, do you have to have a Messenger account to talk to people on Facebook? So the short answer is no, you do have to have your Facebook account, but you can just do it all from your Facebook on, like, not the app, but actually just going online. So log into Facebook and then create the message from there. So you don't actually have to download it. The Messenger, you don't necessarily have a separate account. It's all just tied to your Facebook account. So I hope that answers your question or clarifies a little bit. But going back to this, so having top quality audio or as good of audio as possible is really going to make these videos stand out, especially if you're going to try to take this video after the event and get additional interaction, potentially, boost it out, or if you did save it to some place like YouTube, potentially sending that link out to other clients. So that will really help you out. The next thing is buying a gimbal will also make this so much of a better process. So if you don't know what a gimbal is, basically what this does is it makes it to where when you are walking around in the house, and if you're kind of like shaking up and down or moving, say, quickly back and forth, it will basically stabilize your camera. And so the really nice part about this is it creates a much better viewer experience as you're walking through. The one that you're seeing in the picture here is called the DJI Osmo. And it's a fantastic one. I've seen they've been having some sales on the older models now for as little as, let me see here. I had another thing come through. So okay. The question is, I think I missed the initial application or site you started all this or creating the event. So it's Facebook. So we're starting the event in Facebook, and then we're going to use either Zoom or Facebook Live in order to actually run the event. But you're going to be going to your Facebook page and setting up the event inside of Facebook. So that's where you get started. So back to the gimbal here. So the DJI Osmo is the product we use. There are all kinds of different ones that are out there right now. I just got a thing there was one for $69.99 at Best Buy online with free delivery. Thank you, Tara. But if you have one of these, it really does make the quality a lot better. It actually makes it easier for you to hold. And another pro tip on this is if you are teaming up with another agent, we've seen a lot of our agents that have gone through and used this gimbal, and one agent's carrying the camera around and the other agent is actually doing the walkthrough and narrating, so that way they can point out certain features and do a little bit better job of touring and narrating that home. So using a gimbal and potentially having somebody else hold it for you can make it easy. But the nice thing about these is you can actually use it kind of like a selfie stick, and it works very well all by itself. But the gimbal does make a world of difference. So as I mentioned, this was meant to be just kind of step-by-step instructions, and I'm going to go through and I will have a recording for you guys, and I will have all of these different links. But what I want to do now is, I know in talking to Kyle, we do have a couple of people on here that have been doing it. So I really want to open it up really to give you guys an opportunity to have a conversation about what you've seen and what you've done. I know he did mention that David and Zach Reener have done quite a few of these. So I would really like to open it up and let the discussion happen here inside of this as well. So Kyle, I don't know if you want to jump on and kind of give your 2 cents on it, or if we just want to have, David go through and talk about what, what you guys have done and what you've had success with.
Sure. Thank you, Aaron. Thanks for doing this. Great information. You hit every single spot as far as what you need, how to do it, how to plan it. I love the fact of even just doing the event ahead of time and promoting it, because that's half the battle, is just getting people there. And so thank you. This is great information. And I do know at least David Reiner has and Zach have done a couple. So I don't know, David, if you don't mind talking about your experience, kind of some of your success you guys have had.
No, I don't mind at all. When we set these up, we actually set them up as an ad in Facebook, and we also did it on Instagram. So when we went out, we first ran Facebook, and then we did an Instagram one right after that. When we did that, we've learned that with Facebook, if you do landscape, it's creates a little bit better ability for people to see what's going on. But Instagram, being it more geared towards phones and smaller devices, it's better to use a portrait position on the phone. We've not used a gimbal yet, but I think that's a good idea. And it's definitely a good idea to use a wireless headset that's connected into it, especially if you're going to use two agents, one that's doing the filming and the other one that's doing the talking and pointing things out, because sometimes you can get a little too far away from the phone if you aren't using a wireless headset. Another really important thing, and Zach and I discovered this with our last two that we didn't have good cell reception where we were. And one is a vacant house, so we had no Wi-Fi, and the other one didn't have wireless Wi-Fi. So it was kind of spotty, jumped a little bit, and so it's not quite as clean and clear and crisp as what we would like it to be. And then the other thing, once you're done, is, as Aaron said, to go ahead and boost it. Because just like when you do a boost, you get people going, you're able to track people going to your website to see that property. With boosting a video, you find out through clicks. And those are people that go on to click on to watch the video. Now, I understand with Facebook that a through click is recorded if they've watched 15 seconds of the video. So most of a video walkthrough, unless you edit it down, is going to be anywhere from, about 5 to 7 minutes. I think Aaron, when we did this workshop last week for our office, talked about, trying to keep it to that 5 minutes. When you're out with a country property or a large property, a large house, it's a little difficult to keep it in that timeline unless you do edit it. And that's pretty much what we've learned so far. If there's any questions, I'm glad to answer.
David, I did have a question come through on the chat, and they asked, what kind of a turnout are you getting, or what's the number of attendees that you're sort of seeing with these?
Well, that's I think the first time around we had attendees of right around 5 or 6, and that seems to be where we were kind of holding on the attendee portion. But when we boosted it back out, our through clicks were at 121, with it reaching 1,300 people. And I just boosted that out for a 24-hour period.
That's great. Yeah, and you touched on something that I didn't hit on in the presentation, but one of the things we have had multiple people bring up is that if it's something where you're not sure whether or not you're going to have internet or anything like that, to definitely go either the day before or an hour or two early or something and test your tech, because we've had multiple people that have done a really good job of boosting it out, getting people there, and then had the same issue that you did where, with spotty service or whatever else, it cut out, audio didn't work right, or there were other technical issues. And then you basically spent the time and energy and money without getting the effect at the end.
Right. And if you've got a good connection, everything worked really simple and flowed really decently. But that connection is really important if you want people to be able to actually watch it.
Are we doing open questions?
Sure.
And my question was, what was the time frame that you think that the video should be? And the second one is, there are so many devices, and the gimbal, there's like this $69 one, and there's an $89 one, and then the one that you were talking about was 119. And I can't tell if any of them have a mic or if there's that much of a difference.
Most of the gimbals, they don't have a mic. So really all they're going to do is they're just going to hold your phone. So it's whatever, whatever technology that you have, like, so whether it be, earbuds or a wireless mic or something like that, or even like a little plug-in mic, that's all just going to be attached to your phone. And all the gimbal is going to do is just hold the phone. So that way it's steady and you can move it around. And as far as the best one thing, I mean, I've got one, it's called like a Zhoon. It used to be the highest rated one on Amazon, but the DJI has been getting, higher ratings lately. That there's not a huge difference between them that I have seen. If you have one, it's going to work and it's going to make it substantially better. And I don't know if somebody else has an opinion on that, but that's really.
If anyone has a suggestion of like a reasonably priced mic to add to the gimbal.
So it would really be a mic that you can use for your phone. So are you an Apple user or an Android user?
Apple. So
with the Apple, I can send you a link. If you're like, a lot of times we're just seeing people use their AirPods. So that way you've got them in your ears, and then that picks up the mic just like a call. Otherwise, if you're trying to do a narration, that Shure mic gives really high quality sound. And so those are the two that we really recommend right now.
Okay. But like, I just have earbuds, but not earbuds. You're talking about the earpods.
Yeah. Well, so if you're going to be holding the gimbal, then the earbuds are just fine. If you're going to have somebody else do it, then, you're basically tethered to that. And so you can't really get very far away from the actual phone. So that's where the AirPods actually work.
Got it. That makes sense. Thanks.
Yep.
I got the Gimbal 3 and the DJI software is phenomenal. It's amazing how it connects and, pretty much does everything for you.
DJI. Okay.
What Aaron was talking about. So I'm a little confused because my husband purchased it for me, but we got the Gimbal 3 and I thought it just came with the DJI, but it's the software interface. So anyway, it's pretty slick.
Yeah.
There is a combo for 119 for the DJI and the Gimbal 3 or something. And then there's just the gimbal for 89.
Yeah, that's probably what my husband bought, was the combination.
Yeah.
What does that combination do of the DJI?
Of the DJI with the Gimbal 3.
But
what does the DJI part of it do?
DJI it's the brand. Sorry, is that your question? Yeah, DJI is the actual brand.
Oh.
Well, and it's a software interface that sits on your phone, so it connects the gimbal to your phone. So if you want to go from portrait to landscape, you just click. If you want to, you can fade in, you can fade out, you can do whatever you want. And also it works great with AirPods.
Good to know.
Yeah, and they're a pretty established brand. I mean, they're the ones that make a lot of the drones that we see used in real estate, like production stuff, and they do some really cool things, and that's why, yeah, the DJI it's a really good product.
Aaron, did you say the recommended video time for your walkthrough on your open house? How long it should be again?
Well, so we've seen. If it depends on if you're getting a lot of like comments and things like that. What we've been having clients do is allocate somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes. But if they're not having people, basically ask them to go back and forth and do something, we are trying to stay to kind of that like 5-6 minute range is what we've seen most effective.
Got it. Hey, Aaron, one of the things that came up from somebody else I know that's not on the call today that's done them, she had done one for some new construction and did a virtual open house on this several weeks ago.
Yep.
And she ended up tagging in the Facebook promotions and everything, the new construction Facebook page, their development.
Yep.
Which ended up creating a lot more eyeballs on there. So I was just kind of curious, do you think people should try to obviously do that as well with their sellers and maybe other people that they know that might be interested in tag them? Is that a good habit?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, as long as as long, especially in a situation like that, I would say absolutely. And that's where, you know, what we've seen is by it, like you can tag them if you're going to be, you know, boosting it out or post, but also inviting those people and making it a public event where then they can even go in and invite people that they know. So in theory, that event can continue to grow like beyond your circle of contacts. So you can have the boosted part, but yeah, the more people you can get either tagged to where you can get into their friends list or get them to invite people, the better.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I will say that same agent, her biggest takeaway was, and she was in a huge social media person before doing real estate, was making sure that she really emphasized the engagement afterwards with anybody who reacted or put a comment or a question, made sure that they got attention afterwards as well, which seemed to get a little more engagement just with her as an agent, which was pretty cool. So
yeah, the more interaction conversation that you can have on there, like every time somebody says something, make sure you reply back and get, if you can get all of that engagement and conversation happening, it will definitely help it seem, it will get it in front of more eyeballs.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else on the call that's done them that would like to share some of their positives that they've had doing these? All right.
So we did just get a question of going live inside of the event versus just going live on your business page. So the short answer on that is, if you're doing it inside of the event, the people that will see it are the people that are basically going or interested, or it's the people that have shown interest in that event. If you do it just on your Facebook business page, you're going to be going to just the people associated with your business page. So if we're trying to find and identify people that are interested in that specific property, then that's why we want to do it inside of that event, because otherwise what you're doing is you're just hitting your same group of past clients and things, talking to them about every single property that you have. So hopefully that answers your question, Jenny.
Anybody else have any other questions for Aaron here? Well, Aaron,
Super helpful.
yeah. No, this is great info. Thank you so much, Aaron.
No problem. And what I'll do is, as I mentioned, I will send this recording out to everyone so you do have it. If anyone on here has a specific property where you're trying to get one of these set up, we are available to help you with that as well. So just talk to, you know, your WFG sales rep, and then they can set up a time where we can just get together with you. We can jump on a Zoom call and walk through the steps and make sure everything's set up properly.
Awesome.
All right. Well, with that being said, thank you to everyone for your time today. Like I said, feel free to connect with me on any of the social. You'll see all the buttons on the email that comes out, and have yourself a great Wednesday.